Well, we got to wait till Jim gets back to.
Correct.
I mean, not Jim. Sorry, I don't mean Commissioner Firework.
All right, we are streaming.
Taylor's here.
All right, and
Oh,
Commissioner Fire Robin is back. It is 3:01, Chairman Thorwald.
Okay, it is May 21st, 2025, 3:01 p.m. in the afternoon, Arizona time, and this meeting of the Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation comes to order. Roll call. Commissioners, would you say who's here?
Fire.
Yourselves.
Mike Conway's here.
Good. Commissioner Ballard, are you here?
Yes, you may not have heard me. I'm here.
Okay. This is Commissioner Thorwald. We're only missing Commissioner Nations. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is Wendy Flood.
Oh, wonderful. Do we have any conflicts of interest? Hearing none, let's move on to the first order of business. Administrator Roberts, would you take us through this?
Sure. We have a request in for a plug-in application from the Orphan Well Program, and this application is to continue to move the program along. Approval will aid in expediting or actually not expediting, but actually moving the program along so we don't have to let a rig go. So that's where we're at, and they've filled out their application properly and recommend approval.
Commissioners, what questions do you have on this?
Well, this is Commissioner Ballard. I appreciate the clarification. I wasn't sure exactly where we were on this, whether this well was taken off the tentatively approved list or not, and are we acting to put it again on that list that has pre-approval, or is this meeting to go ahead and approve a Form 9?
Yeah, I can answer that. This is
Who
to
is this?
approve. Sorry.
Make sure you announce yourself.
Okay. This is Samantha Roberts. This was an application that was not on the list. That was approved May 2nd. This is in addition.
Okay. Well,
So any other questions by commissioners? Anybody need to speak on this subject? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
well, this is Commissioner Ballard. I'd love to review these forms. Could we at least go over it? I can't quite see the scale.
Let me pull. This is Wendy Flood. I'll try to make it bigger for you, and we do have somebody from the Orphan Well Program on the phone.
Plug one.
Please. Commissioner, go through them. Take as much time as you need.
Okay, it doesn't take me very long to go through one of these, but I do need a few minutes. And so I have a question. This well that went down to a couple thousand feet. Actually, in the well file, it's kind of confusing as to how deep it went. Actually, the TV looks like it's more like 1,890 feet. But in any case, the Coconino is down near the bottom. These wells, potash wells, they of course wanted to evaluate the salt potash section, which is unfortunately below the Coconino. So I would suggest, I don't know what the odds are of getting down there, but I really would suggest that we set a plug down near the bottom, unless there's one already there, to seal off the Coconino. That would be one of the main objectives. Is there a contractor on board, or anybody could comment on that possible change?
Yes, so this is Abra Bentley with Hydrogeochem, ADEQ's
Great.
contractor. And yeah, the plan is to plug the very bottom of this hole because that is where the coconino is. So we'll plug across that contact. It has been really difficult in this area to get very deep at all. 400 or 500 feet seems to
Yeah,
be where we end,
I know.
but we will certainly be trying to get down there.
Okay. Well, and I have one other comment, but I guess actually I'd ask Commissioner Firebrand. This is that Duval operator that I know he had some questions about, whether they were still a legitimate company going forth. Have all those issues been resolved?
Tina LePage with ADEQ. We looked into the viability of the Duval Corporation and found out that they had stopped operations in 1991. So that was basically all we could find on them. So we have said that they are orphaned. Okay,
thank you, Tina. I'm not surprised. It's some kind of a Duval subsidiary that was out of New Mexico. I'm not surprised it's not part of the ongoing Duval Corporation that we know now. I will point out, though, that this was actually a fairly large program. The well number, of course, just refers to the section that was drilled in. I believe there's 15 or more very similar wells on outside of Petrified Forest National Park. I think they're all very similar to this one. There probably is some casing, a bunch of unanswered questions. So at least I know we're looking at one point for additional candidates to plug. I hope you'll take a look at those, Tina. They would all seem to be very similar.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, another thing I guess I don't need to point out, because if we determine that they're not really a responsible party, but just for background information, it was one thing I thought we might have to discuss if this was that well that we were worried about still being a viable operator. The Oil and Gas Commission regulations back in the 1960s were very different, and this well was drilled as a potash test or stratigraphic test. And I'm afraid, I'm glad Rick is here, but I'm afraid, even though from our current standards it really wasn't any plugging at all, just filling out the hole, I am afraid that the commission actually may have approved that method of abandoning the well at the time because of the regulations that existed at the time. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, even if the operator existed or in similar situations, I believe that they are absolved to some extent. Rick, I don't know. Rick, do you have an opinion?
If they have something in writing that says the Oil and Gas Commission approves your abandonment based upon current statute, they're done. It is in order. No one appeals it through that administrative process. It's now our well, or not our well from that perspective, but it's our responsibility if any future plugging or change the statute. That's unless there's a writing that reflects differently. That would be kind of my opinion right off the top of my head is you absolve somebody, you've absolved them, unless there's a reentry language within. And the nice part is because this is 1990, chances are they're gone anyway. But if this were not a ranger, but a recognized company, yeah, we'd have to look at the documents and make another determination.
Okay. Well, that's more than enough for me. I think we're fine on this well, but I would like to point out there's a lot more that we could look at. They made coconino Swiss cheese back basically right next to Petrified Forest National Park. So it'd kind of be nice to do something about them. And there may actually be another core program besides Duval, which is in a very similar situation, but we can talk together offline sometime.
This is Chairman Thorwald. I forgot to mention that we have two people, two AAGs from the office here, Taylor and Rick Zeiss. So yeah, I just wanted to note that. And we also have David Haig from the Land Department on board with us. Is there any other questions on this before we have a motion? Now, I have a question. We had called this because there's a rig in the area and don't want to lose it. Is that was the primary concern?
Yes, this is Tina LePage with ADEQ. Yes, that's the prime concern. They were saying that they would be leaving the state and potentially not coming back for another 6 months.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Ballard. I think I've talked too much already, but I will move that we approve this well for plug and abandonment. This well
We have
being
a second. You don't talk too much. It's good to get your comments.
Yeah.
This is Mike Conway who seconded it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? The motion carries. Given we have no, is there anybody in the public that would like to address the commission? Hearing none, and having no further business, is there anything we need to put on the agenda for future?
Yeah, this is Wendy Flood, Commissioner Ballard. I didn't know if you needed or wanted any follow-up to your comment on like the next agenda or agenda in the future.
well, this is Commissioner Ballard. Sure. I think we should probably almost have it on every agenda, but I've always wanted the commission to learn a little bit more about this responsible party business from the OW group. I think they've learned a lot more about it in the last month, but there's still probably some comments we'd appreciate on what its impact is.
Okay, thank you.
Well, in that case, what time is it there?
At 3:12 p.m.
I'm sorry. What time is
3:12.
it now?
3:12.
3:12. It is 3:12 p.m. and this meeting of the Arizona Oil and Gas Conservation Commission comes to is concluded. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.